the standings. Actually, maybe it does. Wesley winning does affect a lot about this tournament. Now that, it does affect quite a bit because him winning will cause a real shakeup at the top. Magnus Carlsen would be in some trouble in that scenario and lose the Grand Chess Tour title because Magnus needs a draw here. Knight, in this position, Anand played the move king to f1. Not a necessary move. And this allowed this shot, knight takes on c3, sacrificing this knight. And now, if queen takes on c3, then queen to e2 with check. King in the corner, queen check. And now the problems start. Knight e2 is a huge threat now with a force. You can't play knight back to e1. King to h2 also runs into the same move with a mate idea here. You'd have to stop it, and then queen takes, and he's just stolen this pawn for nothing. In this position here, there's only one way to save himself. That is, knight takes on b6. Looks like he's just trying to get back a pawn, but in fact he's releasing the c line for his queen with this move, takes, and now when you play the exact same variation, when you get to this position, king h2, looking like mate, hold on, suddenly there's a prepet in the position thanks to that knight not being on c4. He had to find that move in order to save himself, but he didn't. Instead, he played this move, knight back to e3. The engines are going crazy saying this is completely winning for black after knight to e4. Just a dominant structure with the knight, set up with knights. He's up a free pawn right now. Anand definitely in trouble. I don't know if it's as big as the engines say, but they're going completely crazy. Almost a piece up is the claim. Wesley So wins this game. Maybe my math is wrong, guys, but if he wins this game and Magnus does not win his game and only draws, then Wesley will upend everything and MVL will win the tour title.
Thank you, right? Maurice. And Maurice, you're right. 94 was played.
What a cool variation.
Wow.
That 92, the queen
96.
It's very unusual.
Yeah, the nice mate on G1. Absolutely.
But,
so
yeah, we'll have to double check that. I think another question is, what if Sergey beats Nakamura?
Right, because
so
would
they cancel each other out? Does it have to be that Nakamura holds the draw and Wesley wins? We'll have to check that with the production.
Exactly. We'll get on that. So here was the very nice variation that Maurice was showing, and the essence of which was that if you take the knight, you give a check, the king moves over, you give another check, the king has to go to h2, knight comes to e2, but now there's this nasty double threat. Check. The king has to go to h2, knight comes to e2, but now there's this nasty double threat. There's a threat of queen g1, check and mate, as well as knight takes queen, black wins. So keep this position focused in mind. Now what Maurice was saying is that if this knight was not on c4, and the c file would be open, then there would be a queen c8 check. How do you make that happen? Well, from the very start, it was this star move, knight takes b6, that would have allowed Vichy to maintain material equality, because as Maurice explained, check, and you get the very same position, except the knight, as well as the c7 pawn is missing, and white can bail out and save himself thanks to this perpetual check. The fact that Vichy missed this tells me he's very fatigued. He really is running out of energy. He played instead the move knight e3, and after knight e4, and I think we actually saw another move, knight e4, queen d4, black has actually just stolen a pawn in broad daylight and stands much superior.
I don't think, I'm taking a look at these different scenarios, and I actually don't think that this will help MBL enough. I'm looking at a blog, ej.com,
Okay.
Grand Chess, and he's going through the scenarios. I think the problem is that we keep forgetting about this, but Wesley So and Nakamura, if they win, they tie with Maxime. So they also
take him away.
Yeah, they
take
take
points
him.
away from him.
And it's not a tie for second, but a tie for third. So they're sharing like
the queen is simply too strong on d4. Love this move c5, booting the queen out of the center. Very, very nasty move. move indeed.
Well, having an extra pawn is helpful in more ways than one, right? As
I certainly know that feeling. So Wesley So, taking advantage of a very fatigued Viswanathan Anand, struggling towards the finish line. I really thought this game was heading into a draw. I just never saw this happening where Vishy would just blunder a pawn. Back over to you, however, Christian, for the game, between Magnus and Levon.
The big one, and there's a lot of
That if I get on the light squares, I'll put you in a kind of a checkmating box and stuff. Knight on g4, that's pretty lame. Knight on c2 is lame. Pawn down.
And if you go knight to e3, I can also just take on b3.
Oh, that's also very nasty. We love those royal forms.
Maybe I shouldn't do that, just because you have knight c4 at the end, or g3 and
yeah.
then knight c4.
you mean so because knight c4 immediately we have knight b5.
We have knight d5 to
So
d5.
by playing g3 first.
Whoa. There's a check in the position.
Right.
I'm not just going to
And then knight b2. Right.
Yeah, I'm not just going to let you play knight c4 and hit the b6 pawn. But we're talking a tragedy in the making here for Vishy.
But Knight's
As
finished for So, who drew his first 8 games.
yeah, and this game, he really wasn't playing ambitiously at all. It just looks like a stone cold blunder.
But we'll have to recheck the calculations, but it does not look like this is likely to affect the final standings. It seems that Magnus will still keep pace ahead of FBL, unless perhaps Bobby loses. But we, you would catch MBL for
Third.
third place.
Depending on the
The London Chess
Fabiano.
Classic. Yeah.
Depending on the Fabiano outcome of that game. And by the way, I mean, we've got this great, huge fight going on for the Grand Chess Tour, but we also got this great fight going on for the London Classic. Fabiano